French expressions are a great way to help you sound more French, whether you're a beginner or an advanced student. They help you sound more smooth and express yourself better. I know that learning French expressions can be boring because you usually tend to learn from a list, but learning from a theme is a bit more fun, and today we're going to learn them with French numbers. So if you're a beginner, focus on learning the numbers from 1 to 10 in French. If you're an intermediate, focus on the 10 new expressions. And if you're advanced, enjoy this opportunity to perfect your pronunciation, especially with la liaison in French. As usual, you can download the full lesson on communefrancaise.com. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you will have a link somewhere around me and in the description below to communefrancaise.com. There you can download the full lesson in a PDF format for free. You just have to leave your first name and email and you will get access to the lesson straight away. On the lesson you have the vocabulary, extra cultural insights, and all the links that go to other of our lessons that you would like as well. Again, it's free, so you can download the PDF to review it, take notes, and check the words later. Bonjour, c'est Géraldine, bienvenue sur Comme une Française. Allez, c'est parti! Before we start the numbers from 1 to 10, we have to start with 0. 0 is zéro in French, zéro. It's exactly the same word as in English, we just add un accent aigu on the I, le E. That's zéro, zéro. An expression we have with zéro is avoir la boule à zéro. Avoir la boule à zéro is to be shaved. And in French, we say être tondu. So that applies to the head only. Avoir la boule à zéro. It means that la boule is the head and you don't have anything left on it. Avoir la boule à zéro. 1 is un in French. Un. And I know it's a very difficult sound for students. Un. When you're saying un, don't say the N at the end, just say this difficult sound, un, and you're done. Except when we have la liaison. If we have a consonant after un, we don't say anything. So for example, we have un chien. Un chien is a dog, you don't say anything in the middle. Un chien. If you have une voyelle after un, for example, as in un ours, a bear, then you add the N in between. Un ours. Okay, you can hear the difference? Un ours. An expression we have with un is un tien vaut mieux que deux tu l'auras. Un tien vaut mieux que deux tu l'auras. It means a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. So it's exactly the same meaning in the expression, so you don't have to think too much in terms of subtleties, but this is a fun expression. Un tien vaut mieux que deux tu l'auras. When I was preparing this lesson, I remember that we have la une. That's not the number here necessarily, but la une, for example, la une d'un journal is the front page. And because you're studying French, maybe you read newspapers in French, for example, Le Monde, and you might want to know that because it's a very important page in the newspaper. La une d'un journal. 2 is deux. Deux. As you can hear, we don't say the X at the end of deux. Deux, except when we do la liaison. So let's look at two examples. If we have une consonne after deux, we don't do la liaison. For example, deux bananes, two bananas, deux bananes. But with une voyelle afterwards, we do it. So for example, we say deux oranges, two oranges, deux oranges. And as you can hear, I make the Z sound, deux oranges. And that makes la liaison. Now let's look at an expression with deux. Faire d'une pierre deux coups. Faire d'une pierre deux coups is literally to kill two birds with one stone. Okay? That's exactly, again, the same meaning. Faire d'une pierre deux coups. Now with three. 3 is trois in French. Trois, trois. Again, you don't say the S except with la liaison. Trois. For example, trois chats. Trois chats, we don't do la liaison. Trois oiseaux, we do la liaison, and you can hear a Z sound. Trois oiseaux, to make it sound more smooth. This is very, very important in the French language, to have a smooth and beautiful sound. An expression we have with trois is jamais deux sans trois. Jamais deux sans trois. This means things always come in threes. I think the meaning of three is pretty common in many, many languages. Jamais deux sans trois, literally never two without a third one. Jamais deux sans trois. 4 is quatre. Quatre. As you can hear, I don't say the U, I don't say the E at the end. Quatre. There is nothing special in this pronunciation, quatre, so I don't have anything else to say. But let's look at an expression. We have couper les cheveux en quatre. Couper les cheveux en quatre means to split hairs. It means to make complications. So couper les cheveux en quatre means to cut the hairs in four. So it's literally to split hairs. In spoken French, very often we're not going to say the R at the end. So for example, instead of saying quatre cadeaux, I would say quatre cadeaux. Quatre cadeaux instead of quatre cadeaux because I cut the R at the end. Now let's move to 5, and 5 is cinq. Cinq. As you can hear, it's the same un as in the number 1. Un. Cinq. I don't have anything to say about this pronunciation either because it's very straightforward. Cinq. An expression we have with cinq is un mouton à cinq pattes. Un mouton à cinq pattes. It means a sheep with 5 legs. It's not necessarily good or bad, so it can be translated into a rare bird, so good, or a black sheep, so bad. The meaning of this expression, un mouton à cinq pattes, will really depend on the context that is used in. A second expression we have with cinq is la cinquième roue du carrosse. La cinquième roue du carrosse, so literally the 5th wheel of the car. It's in English, I think you say to be the 3rd wheel. So in French it's the 5th, in English it might be the 3rd, but it's the same meaning. It means that you're not necessarily needed in a group. La cinquième roue du carrosse. 6 is the same word, but we say six. Six. It's the same as the beginning of sister. A friend of mine was telling me she never remembered how to say it. It's exactly the same as sister. So, six, six. But again, the pronunciation changes according to what's after it. So on its own, tout seul, on its own, 6 is six, six, okay? If you have une consonne after it, you remove the S at the end, so we just say si. For example, six Français, 6 Frenchmen or 6 French people. Six Français. If there is a vowel after it, which is une voyelle in French, we say z. For example, six Anglais, six Anglais. I'm doing this a little bit too much on purpose for you so you can hear it. Six Anglais, okay? That's the sound Z if you have une voyelle afterwards. An expression we have with 6 is, for example, 3 francs 6 sous. 3 francs 6 sous is the expression for the price that is very, very cheap. 3 francs 6 sous. It literally means 3 francs and 6 cents. It is used with the euro still just because it means cheap, okay? Maybe the next generation won't use it anymore, but this is the meaning. Obviously, in 3 francs 6 sous, I never ever lived during the sous period, but you see the expression here, it means very cheap. A fun fact about the translation of cheap in French is that it doesn't exist. We don't have a one-word translation for it, we say pas cher. Pas cher means not expensive, and we don't have much better as a translation for cheap. So that's a pretty funny thing. Cheap doesn't literally translates in French. Pas cher. 7 is sept. 7. Set. In set, as you can hear, I don't say the P. Set, just like a set in English. Don't say the P, please. It doesn't exist. We don't have anything special about the pronunciation here, so that's pretty good, except don't say the P. So let's move on to expressions. We have il faut tourner sa langue 7 fois dans sa bouche avant de parler. Il faut tourner sa langue 7 fois dans sa bouche avant de parler. It means you have to turn your tongue 7 times in your mouth before speaking. Literally, the translation of this is think twice before you speak. Okay? No French person turns their tongue. It's really about thinking first. Also, if you have French kids around you, nephews, I don't know, like children of friends or your own children who want to play with their French friends, the translation for the game Happy Families, which I assume you know, is le jeu des 7 familles. Le jeu des 7 familles, where you have cards and you have to put families together so you can win the game. Le jeu des 7 familles is the name for this game. 8 is 8. 8, okay? So it's a pretty simple pronunciation, 8, except that it changes with la liaison. So on its own, 8 is 8, as we just saw. However, if you have a consonant afterwards, une consonne, we might cut the T. Yes, sorry. For example, 8 Canadiens, 8 Canadian people. 8 Canadiens. If you have une voyelle after it, a vowel, une voyelle, we say the T. For example, 8 Américains. 8 Américains is 8 American people. So yes, sometimes we say the T, sometimes we don't. I couldn't find any real expression with 8, but I remembered an old-fashioned way to say next week, which is still very used, especially in certain regions. That's en 8. For example, we can say mercredi en 8. Mercredi en 8 is not this Wednesday, it's the week after that. Mercredi en 8. 9 is 9. Neuf. And as you probably know, neuf also means new in French. Neuf. I couldn't find any expression with it, but what's funny is that the pronunciation of neuf sometimes changes, a bit like la liaison. For example, we'd never ever say 9 heures, we say 9 heures. So the F makes a V instead of an F sound. 9 heures. And another one that changes sometimes is with homme, men. We say very often 9 hommes instead of 9 hommes. 9 hommes. Again, it makes the language much, much more smooth, and French is very dedicated to having a very smooth language and sound. And the last one is 10. That's 10. 10. Again, we don't say the X at the end, we replace it with an S sound. 10, that's for 10. 10. The pronunciation changes again depending on what's after it. So on its own, 10 is 10, as I just saw. 10, and then according to what's after it, it will change. So with une consonne afterwards, we remove the X or S sound. So for example, 10 chaussures, 10 chaussures, 10 shoes. 10 chaussures, we don't say the S at the end of 10. But with une voyelle, it makes a Z sound. I know, it's very tricky. So we say 10 orteils, 10 orteils, 10 toes. An expression we have with 10 is une de perdu, 10 de retrouvé, ou un de perdu, 10 de retrouvé. Literally, it means 1 lost, 10 found, and it means that there are plenty more fish in the sea in terms of opportunity or people. Un de perdu, 10 de retrouvé, or une de perdu, 10 de retrouvé. Now let's take a quiz to check what you learned in this lesson. So first, if you're a beginner, how do you say for in French? How do you say for in French? For intermediate students, how do you say there are plenty more fish in the sea? There are plenty more fish in the sea. And for the advanced students, a more tricky question that you will see below is how do you pronounce, I'm not saying what, how do you pronounce this? So take a few seconds to think about it and we'll look at the answers together. So first question is how do you say for in French? That's quatre, quatre, okay? You don't say the U and you don't say the E, that's quatre. Second question, how do you say there are plenty more fish in the sea? Une de perdu, 10 de retrouvé, or un de perdu, 10 de retrouvé. And the third question is how do you say this? Well, I wrote it for you. We say 9 heures. So the F sound becomes a V sound. 9 heures, 9 o'clock. So, did you succeed? Et toi, qu'est-ce que tu as appris aujourd'hui? Qu'est-ce que tu as appris aujourd'hui? What did you learn today? Tell me in the comments below. I want to hear from you. You can say, for example, in French if you dare, j'ai découvert l'expression 3 francs 6 sous qui veut dire pas cher. J'ai découvert l'expression 3 francs 6 sous qui veut dire pas cher. If you like this lesson, please share it with your Francophile friends on Facebook, on YouTube by putting a little thumb up, on subscribing to the lesson, sharing this with your friends by email, Twitter, any way you like. That's the best way to support my work on Comme une Française, especially the free lessons. If you want more spoken French, I highly recommend you join my 10-day everyday French crash course. It's a free 10-day mini course, all in French to double your Frenchness in just 10 days. We cover culture, food, we cover language, lots of extra tips on the media to follow in French to improve your French. It's all free, you just have to go to commeunefrancaise.com, you leave me your first name and email, and you will get access to lesson 1 straight away. I hope you liked this lesson and I wish you une bonne journée, une bonne soirée, and maybe une bonne nuit. Allez, salut!